Here's Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
Ben Crenshaw is a retired PGA professional. He won 19 times on tour, including two major championships, the Masters in '84 and then again in '95. He's nicknamed Gentle Ben, and he's widely regarded as one of the world's greatest putters of all time. He's also this year's honoree for the Langley, which is named after his friend Jim Langley, who is the 34-year head professional at Cypress Point. It's the Northern California PGA's premier fundraiser. Ben, it's a great pleasure to have you on the show. I really appreciate you taking some time.
Thank you, Frank. And it's funny that you mentioned me being a good putter. The two fellows that loom very large in my incubation was Dave Stockton and George Archer. They were two of the best putters I ever saw. And they were so solid. And the way that they both had different ways of going about things, but they had exceptional touch and imagination, and they were heads above a lot of the professionals. They could really get it done on the greens.
Where does that come from, Ben? Is that something that that you're kind of born with, or is that hours and hours and years of practice?
Well, some of it is what you're born with. You have to have a touch and imagination. Reading greens are part of the secrets to unlock on every green and every putt. And you always have to have a concept of how hard to hit the ball. In other words, the line is important. We all know that. But the ball has to arrive at the hole at a certain look and a certain bend, and you have to imagine what the line of that putt is. And but I think they're exceptional touch. Um, you get the ball to the hole, but not too far past, not too short, and that's so important on saving strokes. I never saw George Archer or Dave Stockton three putt that many times. I can tell you that.
That's that's the demon in our lives, isn't it, Doc?
Yes.
Let's start at the beginning, Ben. Where did this all start, and who put a club in your hand the first time?
Oh, I started with my brother. My brother, 15 months older. I was supposed 7 years old when I first met our old teacher here in Austin, Harvey Penick. Uh, that's an absolute godsend to have learned from him. He was widely revered as one of the best teachers in the state of Texas. I started knocking the ball around with my brother, and there were some good junior golfers that I grew up with. One, namely Tom Kite,
Yeah.
uh, who came to Austin when he was about 12 years old. I always had good competition to look forward to, and it was. I don't think there's any substitute for that. If you can mix it up with people that you're playing with, and you learn to compete. That's one thing that Harvey Penick wanted us to do is compete. I tell you one thing, it was very simple, and I had talked to George Archer and Dave Stockton about this. Harvey, he said, "You boys go play, but I want you boys to end up on the putting green, and I want you to have a competition. I want you to putt against each other." That was part of my upbringing, and it was fun, and it was competition at the same time.
When you turned professional, I want to make sure I get this right. You became only the second person to win the first event after winning a tour card. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, that I don't know. Is that a great way to start? Winning that first tour event, or is it? I suppose it's hard to answer this question, but is the grinding what makes you a winner?
Well, I had um, leading up to the 1973 San Antonio, Texas Open, I had played some good golf. I had qualified for the tour. We had to go through PGA qualifying, I did that okay, and I came back to San Antonio. I was playing well, and I got some wonderful breaks there in San Antonio, and happened to win. And as you say, it put a lot of pressure on me, which I was enjoying. I was enjoying playing, and the inevitable question is, well, why don't you win all the time? Which is impossible. Golf is too fickle for that, and I've had my ups and downs, just like every other professional in the game. I've gone through slumps. I've gone through periods of doubt. Uh, I've gone through periods of experimentation. I found that the more I experimented, the worse I got.
Mm.
You can't play like anybody else. You always see the players that you're playing with playing really fine golf, and you say to yourself, "Well, I need to try some of that." That just doesn't work. You've got one swing, one body, one mind, and Harvey Penick always, when I always went back to him, he would always say, "Play like Ben, play like Ben," and it was easy to understand, but hard to put into. I just tried to use my natural ability and not try to stray from that too much.
I suppose that's really good advice for us sort of weekend hackers as well to, to play what we've got as opposed to what we think we want or something.
Well, you know something, Frank, that when you play your best and shoot your best scores, you find a way of saving strokes, and what that usually it happens on and around the greens. If you can save strokes that way, uh, it takes up the slack for a missed shot or a poorly planned shot. But that short game has to be razor sharp. And when that's sharp, that department of the game really lifts you and gives you a lot of confidence as well.
I was talking with Donna Archer, and she wanted me to ask you what differences you see in the tour, and maybe the way the players kind of approach the game, and the history and tradition as opposed to when you played.
Donna is such a sweet lady and was married to a wonderful guy, George. Being so tall, uh, he was one of the tallest players on the tour. But he had the most sensitive touch. And I know this, Frank, that you see these young guys today hit the ball so far.
Hmm.
And that's a huge asset. There's no question about that. But I'll tell you one thing, they wish that they had George Archer and Dave Stockton's touch around the greens. That's what really keeps you in there. Uh, and you see wonderful players that excel in the short game. One that comes to my mind is a favorite of mine, Jordan Spieth. And there was a time, a couple of years, where he couldn't miss putts,
Hmm.
and that's where. And then I think that he's not putting quite as well. He's hitting the ball well. His friend that he grew up with, Scotty Scheffler, has just played remarkable in all departments, and getting the ball in the hole quick is what you strive for. We can all hit the ball better, but that short game has got to be there.
You mentioned your mentor Harvey Penick. He was so important in your life, and kind of seemed to be on your shoulder there for that second Masters win, huh?
Oh my goodness, that was yeah, it was unbelievable, Frank. I was playing well, and it was like I was playing with an uncluttered mind. I was playing my favorite golf course, Augusta National, in the thick of it, and it was like I didn't allow any stray thoughts. I was just playing the course, and I somehow got to a space where it was simplicity, uh, and I got some great breaks. There's no question about that, and uh, was so ironic that we had buried Harvey that particular week. Tom Kite and I flew back to Austin right before the Masters that year, and we had a wonderful funeral for him, and we flew right back over to Augusta. And it was just like I had a void in my heart, but I was anxious to get out there and play. Had a nice practice. First day played well. Second day, third day, it was just stringing it along, and lo and behold, I had a. I've told people many times, Frank, I had a lot of help from a lot of different places that week.
Your emotional reaction after you sank that putt was, is iconic. And we've seen many players, have break down, in tears sometimes after a win, especially a major. How life-changing is that moment when you win on tour or you win a major?
Well, that particular time, I wasn't. I'll I'll tell you what happened. Carl Jackson, my caddy, longtime caddy at Augusta, we had gotten through that, and I made that 3 foot putt and crumpled. I just crumpled. And old Carl, bless his heart, came over to me and he said, "Are you okay, buddy?" And I went, "No, I'm not." But I just was, I just blubbered. I couldn't believe that it happened. And on that occasion, you don't get many chances after the age of 43 in major championships. So I was so happy for that. That was always my finest moment. But it happened at Augusta, my favorite
Right.
place. So
Right. You mentioned Dave Stockton and George Archer. Who was there anyone else you enjoyed playing with on tour?
well, I'll tell you who I loved talking to, who was a great friend of Harvey Penix, and that was Jack Burke Jr.
Hmm.
From Houston. He was a Masters champion too, but I became very close to him. My father was a good player. He's a lawyer here in Austin, and he played at many amateur tournaments at Champions in Houston, and got to be great friends with Jackie Burke and Jimmy Demerit.
Wow.
And Jimmy Demerit was unbelievable soul. Won 3 Masters, jolly soul, and he and Jackie Burke founded Champions Golf Club, which is a wonderful place. But Harvey always liked for me to talk to Jackie. You talk about a great putter. Oh my gosh, he was a great putter, but he had wonderful sound advice. Uh, and I always had great guiding in my career, and I sought out their help, and they were kind enough to give it. Um, you need soothing words at certain times when your game's not going well. And it was interesting. I said, well, these guys have been through it all. They've played tournament golf, they've played professional golf, and they see a lot of things and they relate it to you. It's meaningful.
You mentioned the guidance and caring words. What's the best piece of advice you ever got, do you think?
I'll say this. I'll say Harvey, and Harvey, I went off for about 4 weeks in a row out on tour, and I came back and he could just tell that I was experimenting and trying different things. And I was one kind of wild swing after another. And he's such a kind man. He came over and put his arm on my shoulder and he said, "Ben, don't wait this long to come back to see me." And I went, well, I said, you're exactly right. I'm trying things that I've heard, I've listened, and he put me back on the right track. He said, "Look, you've got to play like Ben." He said, uh, let's check your grip and your stance and alignment and your check. Slow down. I was doing things too fast, too anxious. And I must say, I see that in Jordan Spieth,
Oh,
my friend. I think that he is not as calm as he was 2 years ago. And I know that he is chomping at the bit trying to play well as he can. But I just see a little bit of anxiousness the way he goes about that. I may be wrong about that, but God, I just think so much of his ability, but I see it. I know he's pressing just a little bit.
well, I suppose that goes back to your comment about why aren't we winning every week? I mean, he looked like had a career that was unstoppable, and whether it's injuries or whatever it is that kind of gets us off track like that. How hard is it to get back on track?
Oh, he's such a great boy, and I'm very good friends with his teacher, Randy Smith,
Oh yeah.
in Dallas, who I played college golf against. He played at Texas Tech, a very fine golfer. He's helped a lot of people. Uh, Started with Scotty Scheffler as well. Uh, but I know that his words uh, are good for Jordan every time. But I think when Jordan sees some results that are a little more pleasing to him, he'll calm down a little bit more. But I just think so much of him. Uh, he's got a young family now. He's got three.
Yeah.
Uh, Tour life is hard. I don't care how you get there. It's uh, it's high competition, and you got to have things uh, just right in a calming situation. It's hard to do.
You've had so many highlights in your career, but there was a Ryder Cup that you captained, and if I remember the quote correctly, you had a feeling, is what something
Wow.
like that.
Oh, what an experience that was in Boston. And Frank, it's unbelievable how life comes around full circle. When I was 16 years old, my father and I went to Boston. We played the United States USGA Junior at Brookline at the Country Club,
Hmm.
and it opened my eyes to everything about competition, about meeting wonderful golfers around the country in the most historic, one of our most historic places. I fell in love with the place. Was completely different golf architecture that really hit me hard. And I said, God, it was such a privilege to play there. And then later on, lo and behold, I get named captain at the country club, one of my most sentimental places in my life. And we had an unbelievable team. And, we played well, but we were behind. But I'll swear to goodness, Frank, I thought there was something about that place that was going to take care of us. Uh, we're Americans. It was one of our most historic places, and I could not possibly think about the country club without thinking about Francis Ouimet,
Oh yeah.
one of our great amateurs who won in 1913 against the two greatest British players at the time, uh, Harry Varden and Ted Ray. But it happened there at the country club, and I just was something that I had a feeling, I had a notion that place was going to take care of us. And God, when Justin Leonard made that putt across the green on 17, that was one of the great moments I've ever spent on a golf course.
Like I said, you've had many, and now you've got a very successful golf design architecture firm along with Bill Coore. And every time you hear the name Coore Crenshaw, there's a great course, not unlike Clear Creek here in Lake Tahoe. What is there any way to compare the satisfaction of a tour win as opposed to the satisfaction of designing a course that people are going to enjoy forever?
Oh, Frank, that's it's a very nice question. I was lucky enough to have a passion for playing But I mean, all the while, I started playing amateur golf up east, and I started seeing these golf courses that were, I was thrilled about seeing them. Fascinating. I wanted to know who built them, how they built them. Uh, and I just kept studying. And I, after a good while, I said, well, maybe I want to get into this business someday. And it was one of the great blessings of my life that I met Bill Coor, uh, who was a North Carolinian, went to Wake Forest University, wonderful golfer, but we got along great. And I think I was the one who convinced him to partner up with me as one of the nicest things that ever happened to me. And we still enjoy it. We try to work with the land.
Mhm.
That's one of our hallmarks. We like to pick a suitable piece of land and do little smaller things to it and let the land speak for itself. There are a lot of people in our business who are expert in moving lots and quantities of dirt, but it's not our forte. Uh, but we have fun working with each other. We've got a great team of shapers that we've had so much fun with. Uh, it's been one of the great blessings of my life, after my playing days. So I've had some wonderful things that have happened to me. I've had these wonderful things happen along the way, and I couldn't be luckier.
Well, from what I've heard about you and the people I've talked to, you deserve every bit of it, being one of the most gracious men in the game. So here you are now as the honoree for the 2026 Langley, as I mentioned, named after Jim Langley, who was the beloved head professional at Cypress Point for so many years. What was your relationship with Jim like?
It was warm. We had mutual friends, and that's what we talked about every time I saw him. But he just had this an infectious way about him. He was just so kind, and just had that big smile on his face, and it was so humble, so humble. And I know that was one of the great things in his life that he got named professional at Cypress Point. There's some wonderful people there uh, that I met through the years. I played the Bing Crosby many, many years. It was back then when we had one round at Cypress Point during the tournament. So we got to meet some people who were members there. But it was a joy to see him every time because you knew he was warm and affectionate. Uh, uh, I'll say this unequivocally. Everybody that met Jim Langley knew they were meeting one of the gentlemen of the game, uh, and one of the more humble people that I've ever met in my life. And it was a joy for him to come to work every day
Yeah.
to represent Cypress Point, and uh, it's just you meet people like that, and you don't ever forget them. You don't forget them, Frank.
How does it feel to be honored in his name along with Sam Reeves?
Well, Sam is just one of the great characters in the game. He is so competitive, and I've got a few things to say about him when the time comes. It'll be fun. You can't beat Sam. You cannot beat him. He is tough, tough competitor. He's got so much natural ability, and everybody in the world, I think, knows Sam Reeves. There's not one person who doesn't know about Sam Reeves, and he's been a great, great friend of the game. He's got a wonderful family. It's pretty nice that you can have your house on the eighth hole at Cypress Point, and then in the off season go play Seminole Golf Club in Palm Beach, Florida. So pretty nice. But That North Carolinian, that guy, he's everybody knows Sam, and they got warm stories about him. He's a character, a real character.
As you know, the Langley raises funds for PGA Hope and certainly the Langley scholarships. And PGA Hope is a program that uses the game of golf to help veterans kind of assimilate back into their lives. And the stories are from the most dramatic about the game saving their lives to it just makes me feel more peaceful. How's it feel to be raising funds for a cause like that?
So entirely grateful to have any association with the men and women who protect us and have had afflictions thereof. It's such an honor for us to be affiliated with that, and what they've done for our country is uh, impossible to define.
Ben, I like to ask, we all have kind of a different reason why golf means so much to us. It grabs us in so many different ways. What does the game of golf mean to Ben Crenshaw, and how does it capture you?
It has meant my life. It has helped uh, try to educate myself to the people who have meant so much to the game, why their life was. Uh, they had outstanding lives. They were leaders. They were pioneers. They were risk takers. Uh, Golf is the most unbelievable game of bringing people together. It's one of the more sociable games that has ever been invented. Um, I I happen to be a huge admirer of Bobby Jones. I read everything that he wrote. Uh, Obviously, he's meant so much to our game and Augusta and the USGA and competition, but he was a very educated lawyer who wrote beautifully. His books are outstanding, and he had an uncanny knack of humanizing the game and bringing it down to a personal level. Um, uh, and if I guess I suppose if anyone uh, had accomplished so much in life, and he had such a an elevated sense of himself. He was anything but. He was probably one of the most modest modest champions who ever lived. And his words stick with me and stick with people who ever, whenever they read his words. So much more to life when you understand golf and its people.
Ben, the way you've described some of the heroes in the game and Bobby Jones in particular, that description is so many times associated with you as well. I can't think of anybody that I've talked to that wouldn't say the same thing about you. So, to hold you in that same regard is you're gracious in the way you talk about others. We appreciate so much what you've done for the game and made us all feel like we can be champions as well. You said something that I think is probably a great way to wrap this up. You said if we are to preserve the integrity of golf as left to us by our forefathers, it's up to all of us to carry on the true spirit of the game. And I think you're right, and I accept the challenge.
Well, we do. We as golfers, I think we know how fortunate we are. We have a game of a lifetime, a game of meeting people, social. We have a lot to protect. It's a precious game. It's a precious game to a lot of people, and I'm always happy that people take up golf because Harvey said I want people to come to golf, and I want them to keep it for the rest of their life.
Well, Ben Crenshaw, you've certainly done your part, and I appreciate so much you spending some time with us. I'm really looking forward to shaking your hand August 10th at the Langley and meeting Julie as well. And I appreciate, as I said, your time, but moreover, all you've done for the game of golf and so many of us who hold you as a hero as well.
Thank you, Frank. It's my pleasure. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
We'll see you then.
Okay.